What is up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Unhinged Diaries podcast. So, today's diary entry, and you know what? Like the other day, I was thinking about it. I was like, I need to spice up my intro. And I'm like, my podcast is like a diary entry, or of course I'm opening up about things in my life or realizations, or just venting about like pop culture topics that I want to talk about with you guys. So I'm like, let me add in like something that's like diary entry based. So we came up with that, and I hope you guys like it because it's a new year. Let's spice things up a little bit. Let's talk about that elephant in the room. I'm aware that I haven't posted in almost like a week. And I'm so sorry. Y'all know it's not like me. Because there's a podcast episode that I made that I was entirely like, I was so sick. But I'm like, the show must go on. But last week it was a train wreck. But it was just not it. We're going to talk about it. And obviously today's podcast episode or diary entry is going to be on pop culture topics that I really want to talk about with you guys. I really want to talk about like the big topic of discussion right now on TikTok with influencers begging for money. Ace Family, I feel like, is included in that category, and we're going to talk about that with the whole outrage on Twitter with Nicki and Megan and all of that. And I'm going to explain to you guys what I feel like is the bigger problem that people don't want to really recognize in that situation and give you my thoughts, which I'm really spooked about that. I really didn't want to talk about that because I know the barbs, they're kind of spooky ooky. But then again, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm really fair in regard to my opinions on the situation. So, with that being said, to my continuing viewers or listeners, you already know how I like to go about my podcast episode or these diary entries. I like to talk about one positive thing that happened to me this week and one negative. And unfortunately, there was a lot of negative, which is why I didn't really post last week, which I'm really sad about. Like, I posted twice that week that I posted. So I'm like, you know what? I showed myself a little grace, but I'm like, damn, I really wanted to post twice a week and I flopped already. But you know what? I'm gonna get back up and try again. That's all we can do. Or I'm still hesitant and if I still want to do 2 podcast episodes a week, or just prioritize one big one and prioritize more TikTok content, because I've been making more TikTok content. A lot of people have been enjoying that. So I've been thinking I can do that while also making a pop culture based episode for my podcast and have a lot of my viewers from TikTok hop onto here and we can, have a little discussion. So there's that. But anywho, positive thing that happened to me this week was I attended a Mean Girls drag brunch. And I know that sounds like a weird combination, but like my best friend, we've been wanting to attend more events. Like that was our bucket list for 2024. And I'm like, I really want to do more events. I've never been to anything in regard to like, drag. And that's always been something I've been wanting to do. And in Philly, like surprisingly, there's a lot of events when it comes to like, drag queens. So my best friend sent me like this Eventbrite little link and it's like a Mean Girls kind of based drag queen brunch. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds interesting. First of all, anybody out there who knows me knows I'm a huge fan of Mean Girls. Like I can quote it for days. So I'm like what? With the combination of drag queens when they're already funny, they're hilarious, like oh my gosh. And on top of that, a brunch, like food, little drinks, like I was like, count me in. And I posted a lot about it on my Instagram, which if you don't follow me, what are you doing? Make sure you check out my social medias because I'm always posting on there. And I had a lot of fun and it was just a good experience. Like me and my best friend had a blast. They were obviously lip syncing a lot of pop culture songs and just like obviously quoting a lot of Mean Girl, iconic scenes. And it was so much fun. And that was one for the books. It was a great way to start 2024, honestly. Like the first month, like I've been doing a lot. The positive thing that happened, well, it's not really happened, but it's what I've been doing and incorporating, is I've been really heavy on my keto diet. Because for anyone who doesn't know, who hasn't really kept up with my other podcast episodes, I've been struggling with my weight in regards to like I work overnights and it's like a desk job. So because of that, it's like really easy like to gain weight really fast. And that's exactly what happened to me, especially the past couple months. I was really depressed and I was overeating. So with that and the fact that like for 8 hours of my shift, I'm not really moving or burning calories. So if I'm overeating and I'm barely like walking around, burning calories, getting my steps in, that's how I started gaining weight fast. I literally gained 20 pounds and I'm like, oh no. So I've been really heavy on my keto diet. Shout out to my roommate. Like she's such a real one. She helped me like start to really just start, because I didn't know where to start or how to start. I'm like, listen, I used to have an eating disorder. That's the only way I know how to like lose weight, and I don't want to go down that route again. So she's really been helping me with that. She trains me like a dog in the gym, but it's been so fun in regards to just seeing my body change. Like, I been on it for a week now, like the keto diet, and I checked my weight and I already lost like almost 5 pounds. And I'm like, in just 1 week is impressive. So I can imagine how much more I'm going to lose as I keep going. And this is not a diet I'm trying to stay on for too long. It's more like, okay, I just want to get back to like my old self again. And then, like I'm gonna like make the decision on whether like, okay, do I just want to like maintain my weight, or do I want to get more toned, or like what's the goal here? Like, I will definitely think about that as the time goes, but I don't want to overwhelm myself with that now. But yeah, I've been really, really happy about that. That's really changed my mental health a lot. Like, the more I've been committed to this diet, I feel like my mental health is starting to get a lot better. So I've been like enjoying like seeing the results. So eating more clean also does a lot for you as well. Like, I feel like when I eat horrible, I'm very sluggish, I don't have energy, I just want to lay in bed. As of like me eating cleaner, I've been having so much more energy, and I just been more like clear minded, if that makes any sense. I don't know, but like it's really been good, and that's really been like the highlight of this past week or so. So now, with the negative thing that happened to me, since I last saw you guys, I really was struggling with my mental health, like really bad, and I couldn't pinpoint why. Like, of course, I've always talked about it here in my podcast, or anyone who's kept up with me outside of my podcast, maybe my TikTok account, which all of it will be linked down in the description. But I'm bipolar, and I struggle a lot with my mental health, and anxiety is something I really haven't experienced like that in a long time, because of the fact that I go to therapy and I do all the inner work. And it was weird, like this past week or so, my anxiety was so bad that I was smoking so much, and I've been wanting to resort to drinking, but I'm like, no, I'm on my I just started my diet, and even smoking was a risk because the munchies when the munchies hit, like that could have really like backfired. But I was really disciplined. But I had a big realization when I smoked a lot, was like the fact that I'm like literally violently high and I'm still sad is a bigger problem. And I really felt like I got myself back on track when I started journaling, and I started realizing where a lot of where my sadness sat was the fact that I had such an attachment to these goals. And we talked about this a lot on my podcast. I do have a big attachment when it comes to my goals, but for me, it was like to the point where it's like, I want to make content and I want to create things that I love so much and enjoy things out of the sense of like enjoying it because it feels right with me. It fulfills me and makes me happy. And I feel like we live in a very capitalistic world, and especially me being a workaholic, that I feel like everything I want to do that makes me so happy, I want to like, oh, let me turn it into a source of income. And it's like, no. I miss making TikToks because I like people think that I always just wanted to be a drama channel just to talk shit. It's like, no, like none of my friends care about pop culture shit. So that's when I started my TikTok account. It was like, I just want to talk to people about these pop culture things that I really want to talk about. And I love hearing people's conversations or their thoughts and opinions on things. Like, I love that connection. Like, even if it was strangers on the internet or people DMing me saying, oh my God, I really want to hear your opinion on this. Like, I love all of that. And I really started having to reflect on that. Like, damn, I'm so happy and I'm so empty because of the fact that nothing feels like fulfillment anymore. Everything just feels like I need to do it because X, Y, and Z. Why can't you do it because nothing? Because it just makes you happy, it aligns with you. It's gonna make you feel better. Like, I was going to the gym in the beginning of like I started my diet and I was getting so sad too. Like, damn, like I'm not even seeing like results yet. Obviously it's too soon, but like what's the point of anything? Like, I was getting really empty and sad, and I started thinking about it. I'm like, just go to the gym because it helps you feel productive. So you're not laying in bed, because laying in bed doesn't feel good to you, but getting out of bed feels better, correct? So stop trying to attach yourself like, I'm going to go to the gym because I want to lose weight. Go to the gym because you want to feel better, because you want to listen to music and drown out the world and just get lost in that. Like, bettering yourself, like, putting yourself through pain obviously in the gym, but it's gonna benefit you. Like, do it because of that. Like, I had to change my perspective on everything, and it made me feel so much better. Like, I don't really cry like that anymore. Like, I really am like content and I try to be happy, but like that week I was crying a lot. Like, I was literally laying in bed. I had to I literally turned off all my lights in my room and I was just crying. So I'm like, why am I so miserable? And then I started really thinking about it. I'm like, because nothing's fulfilling you. Like, you literally feel like your days are going by and you're wasting so much time, and nothing's like, there's nothing to look forward to anymore. Like, I have nothing to look forward to anymore, but I had to change my perspective. Like, okay, during the week, I am going to push hard current content on TikTok because I love to do that. I love to connect with you guys. Not because I want more followers. I want to turn this into a business and make money. Of course, all of that would be really nice. But I also had to be a little bit delusional and think I'm good either way. Like, money's going to come to me and I'm going to be fine. But I want to be doing things that fulfill me and make me happy. Once I changed my perspective on all of that, like, I really started to feel a lot better. And I feel like I really started just doing a lot more better mentally. I started becoming more productive. I started taking on things with a different perspective, and it didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I dread every single thing that I do, because none of it feels like I'm doing it because it feels nice, because it aligns with me. I felt like I was always doing it because I wanted an outcome, or I was expecting something, and it's like, that's not a way to live. And I feel like we live in a world where it's like, that is so romanticized. Another bad thing that happened to me in the past week or so is I went on a date. And it was like a really bad date. And the only reason why I'm gonna keep that brief, because he knows that I have my own podcast, and he's like, oh my God. He's like, because I ended up telling him exactly how I felt. Like, this date's not gonna, like, because he wanted to see me for another time. And I'm like, no. Like, I felt very disrespected. I just didn't like anything about the date. Like, you're really cool and he's really, really attractive. But I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't think we're for each other. And he was like, oh my God. He's like, I'm so sorry that you felt that way. He's like, you're probably going to talk so much shit about me in your podcast. I'm like, I'm getting over people just assuming that. Once they find out and they stalk me on social media and they see that I have a podcast, they're like, she's going to talk so much shit about me. I'm like, you know what? I'm not letting you guys have that, okay? That's the most I'm going to say. So I went on a date and it was really bad. Maybe in the future I'll tell you guys in specifics what really happened. But long story short, it's just everything felt forced. My biggest ick, I already told you guys. I hate when a guy immediately invites themselves over my house once they figure out I have like my own space. Like, that really does trigger the shit out of me. Because then when you invite yourself over, it's not because, oh, like, you know, there's nowhere else for us to hang out. Like, can we just have something, like, some fun at your place and then I go home? No, it's like you want to come over because you want to get the golden ticket, and you're not getting the fucking golden ticket. So I don't know. That's just been my trigger. And immediately I feel like a guy loses their value once you do that. Once you invite yourself over my house, I cannot see it going anywhere serious. And if I'm going to go down a route of something casual, it's like, there's a lot more boxes you need to check off. And right now, like, I'm not really in that mindset where, like, I need something casual or I really am looking for it. I'm just chilling, you know? Like, I just want to find fulfillment in other things rather than that. Because I feel like I made that mistake in the summer, as I found so much fulfillment in that, and that really backfired. As many of you guys who kept up with me would know, it wasn't pretty. But yeah, with that all being said, now let's get into today's podcast episode / diary entry, which is influencers begging for money, while also all of the drama between Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion. By the way, I forgot to show you guys my little cuppy cup. My cousin gave me a hat that was actually custom made and says Unhinged Diaries on it. I have to look for it. I was gonna wear it today, but I did my hair, so I was like, fuck. I should definitely use it for my next podcast episode. But I'm like, oh my God, imagine when the day I decided to, like, you know, start making merch, like the Unhinged Diaries logo, like, would you guys purchase it? I hope you guys would support, okay? Like, help me keep the lights on, okay? But not only that, but like, I'm really passionate about that. I created that logo from scratch by myself. Obviously, it does have Mean Girls, like I said, the lettering, but then like the journal thing was all me. I was just thinking, like, I love just talking, whether it's about my life or whether it's about like pop culture. So that's when I came up with this whole concept with this podcast. Anywho, I'm rambling now. So let's get into influencers begging for money online. And I do have a paper here because y'all know I have ADHD, and this will be 3 hours long if I don't organize myself at least a little bit. We already discussed in one of my podcast episodes about the Ace family's divorce and how my thoughts and opinions on it, and I feel like it's very calculated. The reason why today's podcast episode / diary, it's on influencers begging for money, and the reason why I'm even speaking about the Ace family is because, so a big thing that's been happening on TikTok currently is, if you guys didn't know, Jason, I can never say his name right, it's like the lisp out of me just comes out, Jason Nash. Yeah, I'm not saying that again, okay? Y'all know who I'm talking about now. He was someone that was a part of the Vlog Squad, and we all know the Vlog Squad has separated, and it's a lot of people that were a part of it are either thriving or not. And he is unfortunately a part of the not. And he has been called out recently on TikTok for going on TikTok Live and like begging for money. Like, for anyone who even is ever on TikTok live knows what I'm talking about. Like, you know, when you go on live and you can get gifts from people, like, oh my god, there's like the option where you can like put a game on there, and people, and if you're like, you know, with another person on live, like someone can like, you know, bet for you and then you could win, and that's like a lot of gifts. Like there's just so much ways where you can make money through TikTok live, just through gifts alone and stuff like that. And it's one thing if you're on TikTok live, because I'm not trying to bash anyone who's on TikTok live and say every person on there is begging for money. No, because you know, Terry Joe, he's a really big character on TikTok live, and he's entertaining you. Like you would want to give your money because you're like, wow, I'm having a good experience and I'm enjoying like what I'm watching, the content that I'm consuming. But Jason Nash, he's just sitting there saying, okay, you guys, come on, let's get this, let's get that, let's give me a rose, give me this. And it's like, well, damn, like like bring out a ukulele and like sing for us, like do something, like give us a joke, give us a comedy skit, something, even if it's hot dog water, caca poo poo, like give us something. So that's what I feel like, that's where he's getting a lot of criticism right now, is the fact that it's like, okay, why are you here begging children? Because TikTok live, a lot of children are on there, so you're begging a lot of children for money, but it's like, why? Like, you came from being on the Vlog Squad. Your best friend was David Dobrik, who has a lot of money. And you came from that, and who, like, I'm just assuming maybe you blew off your money, because he does talk about how he's struggling financially and how he makes the majority of his money through TikTok Live.
Now, look, would I be on TikTok Live if I wasn't in, like, a financial hole? I don't know. Probably not. But also, like, YouTube wasn't really working, and I needed to find something. OnlyFans. I can't do OnlyFans. They won't let me on there.
I've tried multiple times.
They said no. No, I can't. I don't want to do OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And so it was like, all right. And TikTok came to me. They're like, we'll help you. And I was like,
oh, that's good.
I was like, okay. And so, yeah. And it's just like, it is what it is.
And it's like, okay, you had your hands on a lot of money once upon a time. So it's nobody's fault but yours that you couldn't do the right thing with your money. You couldn't manage it correctly. Who knows? Because times is hard for everyone. I'm not going to doubt that. But you're not working a little itty bitty 9 to 5. You're not struggling like a lot of us out here, okay? Like, you had your hands on a lot of money. So it's nobody's fault but yours that you can't manage it correctly. So now that you're deciding to resort on TikTok Live to beg children for money, and he's been called out by multiple people. He was on a podcast, I forget with who, but he was on a podcast, and I'll try to insert the clip if I can find it, where they're asking him like, hey, do you ever plan on like going on DoorDash, getting a regular 9 to 5? He's like, no. They're like, do you have any skills? And he's like, no, I can't do it. And it's like, no, you don't want to do it. Never say the word can't, because everybody can do anything. I was listening to a audiobook. I forgot what book it was. I think the book was called Letting Go of the Pathway to Surrender. And there was a chapter where they were like, you can never say the word can't. It's I won't. Oh, I can't lose weight. No, it's you won't, because if you work hard enough, you can do it. The same thing applies to him. Like, you can't sit there and say, oh, you can't make a lot of money. You don't have skills. Obtain a skill. Obtain a new skill. Go back to school. Or, you know, make more connections with people out there. Like, you literally have David Dobrik. I don't know if they're still friends. I'm assuming they still are friends. Ask him for guidance of, okay, what do you want to do? What are you passionate about? Can he help you get connections to go there? Or start socializing more, start networking. Like, there's so much you can do, and you have so much more resources than a regular person. So it's bullshit. It really is. You're just lazy as fuck and you want easy money. And it's sad and pathetic. It really is. I'm gonna use the word pathetic because I just feel like it really is. Like, there's many people out there that are working their butts off and they will kill to have the resources that you have. And yet here you are, just taking the easy way out and expecting people to feel bad for you. No, like, that shit's actually embarrassing on your part. Like, you had your hands on a bunch of money and you blew it off, and this is what you're doing for income. To each their own, I guess, okay? I don't know, to each their own. So with that being said, and the reason why I'm bringing up the Ace family is because of the fact that, like, as many of you guys know, and I've talked about it before, how Austin and Catherine announced that they're going through a divorce, and Austin's been manically posting on Snapchat. And for those who don't live under a rock, it's like Snapchat is paying a lot of their creators big money. TikTok doesn't really pay you that well. YouTube, it can be pretty decent. And Snapchat is where a lot of people are going. Even Bryce Hall said that he was making the majority of his money. Like, we're talking millions just through Snapchat.
Every creator that's on this program but Snapchat.
Fuck, I've heard about Snapchat.
Yeah.
How many views do your videos get there?
My stories get anywhere between 50 to 100 million.
Views?
Yeah.
Per story?
Per like full story.
50 to 100 million?
Yeah.
Wait, what the fuck?
Some days it's like 300 million. The only platform that actually pays the creators.
So are you doing like 7 digits plus from Snapchat?
I'm making good money.
Just with sharing your life. And if the more controversial you are on Snapchat, the better, because the more people are going to want to watch you. And I feel like Austin, he might have discovered that, and he's taken that and he's running with it. Because now with the divorce, Austin obviously announced that, oh, I'm going to be moving out the place. I'm going to be like moving into my own home. And we all know with the house foreclosure. So for those who have no idea what I'm talking about, I made a bunch of content in regards to the Ace family and a lot of things they've been caught being really iffy about. So if you want to check out my TikTok, make sure to check it down in the description down below. Or if you want me to make a recap of like all the things they're notorious for, like misleading their audience, scamming, exploiting their children, comment down below. So with that being said, Austin announced, okay, something happened with the house. I can't really get into like a lot of detail about it, but there's this RV and I'm gonna move into it. When I tell you, I'm like, this man is trolling. Like, I feel like Trisha Paytas, like, she needs to get, like, more like, she needs to be getting her recognition. So I feel like he took a lot of notes on Trisha Paytas and her trolling, and he applied it to Snapchat, and he's making bank on it. Because when it came to Trisha and trolling, she didn't care if she looked stupid or people were making fun of her. She was making money. And I feel like Austin, he's really taken some notes in regards to that. Like, oh, like, you know what? Like, I don't even care about being liked. I already lost. Like, ever since I announced this divorce, everyone's been on Catherine's side and she's been doing her own thing. So let me embarrass the fuck out of myself. Like, let me do all these dumb things because people are going to keep up with me and they're going to laugh. And even if they're laughing at me, I get the last laugh in the end because I'm making a bunch of money just through a lot of people screenshotting and talking about me, you know? And then not only that, but literally last night when I was catching up on his stories, because everyone's been asking me like, oh my God, like he's been doing this. And I'm like, I don't want to watch his stories because all those ads are crazy, but I'll give it a chance. And I went through his Snapchats and he announced that he was going back to school, UCLA. And I knew this was shit because how is it that he went out there and he was like, oh my God, you guys, I'm going to psychology. I'm going for psychology. Like, you could just tell by the way that he was explaining his process of going back to school. He had no idea what he was talking about. I'm like, you just made that shit up entirely. And I can't lie. All of it was entertaining until it got really dragged out in the end where he just started taking a bunch of pictures of people. I'm like, okay, just get to the fucking point. Shit. He said, oh, I'm going to go to UCLA for psychology. That's going to be my major, and my class is near a soccer ball field. So he went there and he said he was lost and he was just talking to a bunch of people and it was really fucking cringe. He was just like, oh my God, like I just want to get my life. Like he's just asking someone and he's almost trauma dumping on them. He's like, I just want to go back to school and, you know, get my degree in psychology and just get my life together. And they're like, we have no idea what class you're talking about. They're like, what's your teacher's name? He says the name and no one knows what he's talking about. The irony in that, I'm like, that should already just tell you everything you need to know, that this is all scripted and fake, which it's honestly really genius if you think about it, because then people are going to laugh at him. Like, first of all, he's trying to say that he's trying to go back to school is kind of sad. And then two, you're like, how interesting is that no one knows who you're talking about? And then he kept saying, oh, I found someone and we're in the same class. But then for some odd reason, like, why aren't you in class with them if you guys are in the same class? Like, it was very much giving like, oh, like, hey, can you just say we are in the same class? Like, it just felt like a lot of lies and weirdness. But I can't lie, it's entertaining. My whole point of all of this and bringing this up is the fact that, like, I feel like Austin is doing the same thing when it comes to Jason Nash. Maybe he's a bit more entertaining and actually has a little bit more value to provide, if you want to use the word value, because Jason just sits there and begs for money. But I feel like he's going down the same route. Like, you're definitely begging for money, making all this unnecessary content through Snapchat. Because with Catherine, I feel like she's playing her cards right in the sense of like, oh, I'm going to sit here and document my life and the actual changes I want to make and document my connection with spirituality and all of that. I really do like respect the route that she's taking, because for him it's kind of sad, because it's like you're choosing the route of like, let me be very like annoying, very cringe. And I feel like he's gonna go down the route of being problematic, because he was a bit problematic, because there was a Snapchat where he was at CVS and one of the CVS workers, which it was very much giving by the way they were speaking, that he was like told to say all this. It didn't sound authentic or genuine, like a actual like normal conversation at all. But this worker says, oh, is it true that you live in an RV? And then he's like, is there something wrong with living in an RV? Like, you're here talking shit about me living in an RV when you're working at CVS. I was like, I was about to go off. Like, okay, what's wrong with someone working at CVS? I'm sorry, a lot of people didn't want to scam for a living and have a very scripted relationship on YouTube for several years as your source of income and exploiting their children as a source of income. Like, it was just very, like, a low blow for him. And he immediately apologized after, because I bet he was probably getting dragged in his DMs. Who knows? But I feel like we're just gonna see more of that from Austin. Like, we're gonna see him like constantly just embarrass himself. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna find a random girl in the street and call her my girlfriend, and he's gonna be another Landon McBroom. For those who don't know, Landon McBroom is Austin's little brother, and when he went through that messy breakup with Shala Walker, he is very notorious for just always having different women in the week on his Snapchat. And it used to make people want to keep up with him, to be like, oh, does he really have a girlfriend? Where is this going to go? Like, blah, 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 blah. I bet nobody fucking gives a shit now. But my point is, I feel like Austin's going to end up going down that same route of like, okay, no one thinks that I'm interesting. They think I'm interesting in regard to being attached to Catherine and being annoying and embarrassing myself. And maybe if I bring a girl along, like, it's going to create more topic of discussion, like co-parenting and all of that. Like, I feel like it's just going to progressively become a train wreck. If this divorce was legitimately real, why not sit there and document? Because at first when he said I was going to go back to school, I'm like, oh, if this is really real, like he's actually legitimately going back to school, I respect that so much. Like, okay, you're going to start obtaining new skills, you're going to learn and educate yourself more. Until I saw what the hell he was doing, and I'm like, you're so fucking cringe. Like, oh my gosh. Like, if this divorce was real, why not actually go back to school? Why not take basketball serious since you really love that? Why not, like, invest into a lot of your passions, or share and document your life into like very like have serious topics, or like, I don't know, like what Catherine's doing, I feel like it's more respected, and that's why a lot of people are showing her so much more love. Whereas Austin, it's like you're exploiting this whole situation. And then it just makes me feel like none of this is real. Like the divorce, I still stand by the fact that I don't think it's real, due to the fact that I feel like this relationship was never real to begin with. It was always a business. And since that business was struggling, like respectfully, like it was struggling, it's like they based their entire relationship, the business, through, like, in the beginning, they were so authentic. You could tell they were passionate about actually growing their, you know, their following. They were doing boyfriend tags, pranks, even if they were fake or real. It was entertainment. Like, people enjoyed that. And then they ended up, like, getting engaged. I don't know if they ever legitimately got married, but there was that, along with them starting to, like, you know, have kids. And then it turned into a family channel, which turned into you exploiting your children, which all of that made a lot of money at the time. Back then, family channels were the thing, where it was easy money, just, you know, shoving a camera to your children's face. And then all that money you were getting, you're obsessed with flex culture and flexing. You guys wanted to have all these events, these basketball charity events, and all these other, you know, festivals, all these little, like, really, really odd scams. And that tarnished your reputation. You ended up spending more than you can chew, and then the house getting foreclosed on, and then now you guys are just left with a bad reputation. It creates the bigger topic of discussion of back then, in order for you to get a following, or for you to even be famous. Like, celebrities were really like the true people to be famous back then, until influencers started coming in and blah blah blah. But it's like, back then, in order for you to really gain a following, you needed talent. You needed to, like, have, like, some sort of value to provide in regards to talent, and to, like, work hard for it. And I think it's so crazy now how, like, you can be, like, literally have no sort of talent. You could just be pretty and make a lot of money. And in their case, they were the OG people who really didn't have much talent, but, like, just they made a business through their relationship and then through exploiting their children and then into taking advantage of their fans. That's really all that it came down to. I just find it very interesting now how they're just like, damn, we played every card that we have and now it's not really doing much for us. Like, what's next? And I think that's just the very interesting part about the Ace family and where they're going down. It's like, damn, like, Catherine, like, I wouldn't be surprised if she does end up taking on a new hobby or trying to explore new things and she documents that. Like, she just seems like she's really like in her own world, like living her life. And I never thought I'd see the day to even say that, because I've always been critical on Catherine as well. I feel like she enables Austin, but she really has just been doing her own thing. Whereas Austin, he's been exploiting the hell out of this situation, because what else could he really give? Like, let's be real. Like, I'm not even trying to sound like a hater. Like, what else can he really give? Because if he had that, like, if he had other things to offer us value-wise and content, he would have. But it's like, I don't know. That's really my thoughts on that. Like, I really feel like Austin fits in that category of, like, begging for money instead of trying to provide value to your audience. Or even share more of your life and be more vulnerable. Of, like, talking about, like, damn, I have a cheating problem. I have a scamming problem. Like, damn, like, I don't know. Be more vulnerable, I guess. Like, it's just really odd. Like, Catherine, I feel like she's not afraid to be vulnerable. She has been, from what I've seen. But him, it's just like all I game to him. But that's very much Austin, and I'm not surprised. But I really want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on all of that. Do you guys agree that he fits in that category of influencers begging for money? Or just what are your thoughts on all of that? Even Jason Nash, like the whole situation. I want to hear about it all in the comment section down below. So next, Nicki and Megan Thee Stallion. Woo-wee. So for those who don't know, Megan Thee Stallion recently came out with her song Hiss, and it's been trending. Everybody and their damn abuelita, their dog, their ancestors have been talking about it. It's been rumored that it has been shading a lot of people, a lot of men in the industry, and Nicki Minaj. So there was a line in that song where she's like, bitches don't be mad at Megan, they be mad at Megan's Law, I believe. It's something in that regard. And of course, for those who don't know the definition or what Megan Law means, it basically is a law that was enforced for pedophiles and predators to not be able to be around children in schools and things like that. And for those who don't know how that correlates with Nicki Minaj, her husband is a registered as offender, and even her brother as well. So a lot of people started like assuming that it was towards Nicki, and Nicki started going off on social media and just really coming at Megan, calling her Bigfoot. She even came out with her own diss track in response to Megan's song called Bigfoot, and it's really just been a mess. And I have some opinions on it. I feel like a lot of people are talking about Megan's song Hiss, but they're not recognizing her other songs like Cobra and Anxiety, where she really opened up about all the things that she went through and how it was really destroying her. Like, can you imagine all these rappers, the whole situation with Tory Lanez, if you didn't know, like, she was involved in a situation with Tory Lanez where she was shot in the foot. She lost her mother and her grandmother in the same month and was getting dragged on social media because of Tory Lanez, all the people that were in defense of him speaking out, dragging Megan's name in the mud. Like, it was a lot. Like, you're going through grief on top of being dragged online. And she opened up a lot on the song Anxiety, which I love so much. And even the song Cobra, like, when I discovered those two songs, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, the vulnerability that she can like have in her music is so beautiful. And it really does paint a picture of like, you can have so much going on for you. Like, she was literally at her peak and the worst things were happening to her. A lot of people from the outside could be looking at her like, you have everything, why are you even miserable? But it's like, everything comes with a price. And I think the song Cobra, there was a line that will always stick to me where she's like, yes, I'm very depressed. How can someone so blessed want to slit their own slit their own wrist. So, and I really do think that like paints like that picture of like, damn, I'm having everything. I'm probably living the life that I wanted. Cause like, can you imagine like your mother? I'm sure she supported you. She was probably your number one supporter when you wanted to pursue rapping and like getting into all of that. And the fact that you finally reached your peak and she passed away, I can't imagine how that really destroys you. Cause grief can knock you to the point where you could have anything and everything in the world and it will literally feel like you have nothing. Because what's so much more important than materialistic things is family, memories, things like that. And it's just so sad. And I feel like this song Hiss, it was like, okay, she became so vulnerable in her music. She was vulnerable in the song Anxiety. She was vulnerable in the song Cobra. Now she's like, well, Hiss, I'm clapping back at everybody who disrespected me. This is the only time I'm really going to address it, say exactly how I feel, and that was that. I saw this tweet on Twitter. I was trying to look for the tweet, but I can't find it. Maybe someone out there knows what I'm talking about. But there's a tweet where someone's like, I really hate the fact that Megan's song Hiss, it's like they said that like, oh, I hate the fact that Nicki made it about herself, because there was so much shade that she threw at all the men in the industry that were dogging Megan that should be recognized. Like that should be way more talked about than this beef between her and Nicki. And I 1000% agree with that, because I really do feel like the problem at hand that people don't want to recognize in this whole situation is the fact that they're in an industry where this is so like this is what they're wanting. I bet everyone's rubbing their hands together and they're like, this is exactly what we wanted. Like they want to pin talented women in the industry against each other because they don't feel like, oh, there's enough success for everyone to go around. And I hate that. Like I really do hate that, because we saw that with Cardi and Cardi and Nicki. There is a lot of success for everyone to go around. There doesn't always have to be I'm number one and I'm the only one that could be up. Why can't everybody be up? So that really just frustrates me, and that's what really bothers me in the situation. I love Megan because I love her music, and like you just can't make me hate her. But the same thing applies with Nicki. I'm not going to sit here and say I agree with every single action or every single thing that she does, but I will say a lot of us have been fans of Nicki before Megan, because obviously Nicki's been in the game for so long. And I feel like for Nicki, like that conversation, just like from what I basically said earlier in regards to influencers, like that applies to as well. But for Nicki's, in her case, it's like she had to work so hard to, blow up. Like back then it was so incredibly hard to blow up. Like you had to prove yourself. You had to constantly get rejected. So to see all these other people not really having to work as hard, I'm not trying to discredit them and say they're not working hard, but like Nicki, she's went through a lot in the industry to get to where she's at. And of course, she always wants her credit when it's due, and she wants to like be appreciated for all that she's done in music. And that's the thing that I feel like frustrates a lot of people, is the fact that like you don't need validation from anyone out there. If you don't get a Grammy, that does not mean that you aren't like an amazing artist and have impacted the industry. Like you literally are a legend. Like I don't understand why there needs to be so much validation from anything, because they're not going to give it to you. The music industry has always been rigged, and it's always been like destined to like be very shitty to women in the industry. Always just been a fucked up, corrupt industry, and that's not a secret at all. Okay, it is editing alley here, hence why I look crazy as fuck and the lighting is hot dog water. So I want to express more of my thoughts and opinions when it comes to the situation, but my thoughts on Nicki's role in the situation, because I expressed it on Megan, where I feel like this song, I feel like she expressed a lot of her, frustration with a lot of people that were throwing constant shade at her, and she was never addressing it, and she finally addressed it. That's why I really just felt like where Megan was coming from in the song. Like I really just saw it as that. When it comes to the situation with Nicki, it's like she didn't even at you directly. So that's why a lot of people are having that opinion of like, oh, she involved herself into the beef. Like she literally created the beef. And it's like, that's iffy, because one, like it was said that Nicki was throwing shade at Megan in a lot of her, recent songs. Same thing for Megan. Like they were doing back and forth. So, and plus we don't know behind the scenes what other interactions that they had where like, whatever. Like there's probably a lot that we just don't know in context of the situation. But then obviously stuff must have happened in order for Nicki to just be like, oh, this woman's definitely talking about me. Because for her to be like, bitches don't be mad at Megan, they be mad at Megan's Law. Because it was said when Nicki and Kenneth went to LA, he didn't register as a sex offender and he broke Megan's Law, and that became a whole thing. And who knows if that's exactly what she's throwing shade at, or just the fact that he's an SO to begin with. I don't know. But maybe that's why she involved herself in the beef. But my bigger issue at hand, because it's okay if Nicki's like, oh, you're throwing shade at me, it's time for me to clap back. Like, okay, fair game. But for you to really steep that low and start saying you lying on your dead mama, like coming at the fact that her mother passed away when your own father passed away, so you know the grief of losing a parent. And Megan lost her mother and her grandmother in the same month, so she's experienced grief, on top of the fact that this woman almost died, got shot on the foot by Tory Lanez, and got the whole world, like all these rappers, like coming at her and tearing her down, all because they're in defense of him. And you're mocking a traumatic situation like that. Like, do you not see why this is rubbing a lot of people the wrong way? Because you can throw your shade and be like, oh, you're gonna throw shade at my man, because it's fair game. That's your man. That's your man. If you want to defend him, go for it, I guess. But it's like, for you to really steep that low is crazy. It is crazy. And I just feel like it really just comes down to the fact that, like, what I said earlier, there's enough success for everyone out there. And I feel like it's just such a track record of Nicki, like, not wanting to show love to certain people. And it's just like, why? Like, you don't need to prove the fact that you're a queen and you're a legend. Like, you are that. So why can't you share that with other female rappers and help them and teach them something, so you can be like the guide for you could be the leader to guide people. But it's just like, no, there's just like a lot of jealousy, a lot of intimidation that I see. And then for you, like, I already have my opinions on her partner as well. It's just not it. For you to defend someone with that track record coming from someone who's a victim of SA, that's where I stand. It's just not it. It is not it. And I still feel like you're rubbing people like really, really the wrong way. And the fact that, like, you're really going hard for somebody with this type of reputation. It's one thing if it's just your regular husband. It's like, okay, like, go for it, defend him. But with this track record, it's like, I don't know. This really bothers me. Like, it really does bother the hell out of me how, like, I feel like Nicki has such imposter syndrome. How she doesn't see how much of an impact she's done in pop culture and music. Like, you're literally an icon. Like, you don't ever need validation from anything. You should never. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of bitterness, a lot of, like, messiness in this situation. And it just bothers me because they're both such talented artists. I feel like it really was a low blow of a lot of the things that Nicki said in her diss track. But I feel like, I don't know. Diss tracks are meant to be messy, but, like, I feel like she took it too far. I really do. This whole situation is so frustrating. I love Megan and her song is fire. Nicki's song Barefoot was interesting. It was just, I don't know, very interesting. But I definitely want to know your thoughts and opinions on the whole situation with Megan and Nicki. I don't know. The Bobs are probably going to drag me for it, but I feel like I was trying to be fair as much as possible because I really do respect both women. But I think that wraps up everything for today's podcast episode. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. If you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure to give it a 5-star rating because let's keep these lights on, okay? And if you're watching this on the YouTube podcast channel, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below your thoughts and opinions and any future episodes you want me to talk about on certain things. And obviously, make sure to click that subscribe button down below because I have a goal. I am trying to reach 100,000 subscribers this year, so help me get to it, okay? I love you guys so much. Thank you for anyone who takes the time to really watch these videos through or listen to them or even comment down below because that pushes me in the algorithm and I appreciate it so much. But I love you guys so much and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.